Okay.
All right, so let's see.
I had a look and I wrote, well, I didn't write this test. I kind of found an example,
Mm-hmm.
um, which I'll show you, which was over here. I did put the links in the waffle as well.
Uh-huh.
So when I run the test, because I made sure that you see everything was set.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what this green thing is that's popped up on my screen.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
It's irritating me.
It
It's like,
says
I don't know.
combo max 46. Does
I
that sound
know.
familiar?
I don't know what that is, but anyway, the joys of Linux. You know, you do one update, then something else appears.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah. So, I'm just going to local. Now, it's not showing up here anywhere. If I, let's say, take that out.
Where is that spec
Okay, so this
in the
spec
file structure?
goes in the, you know, I've just, wrong one. Sorry, my key command's going. So it's in spec in JavaScript. I have pushed it up to my repo.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but normally this description would show in Jasmine, and it's not showing.
Okay, so have you run this through lint or anything like that? Or does your editor probably lints that for you automatically, I'd imagine?
Yeah, it does lint it for me.
And it's
So
clean?
there were some things that were, so this function and this function were not in the tutorial, but it was it had these hash rockets for some bizarre reason. Um, also, you see, this is also quite a recent post.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I added the function and the function here, and then Lint also stopped complaining.
Mm-hmm.
I took out the hash rockets and put in the only one that is complaining is this one. But if I go to
So,
the
let's see. You said it's complaining about something?
yeah, but if I go and try see what that warning is, it tells me that website doesn't exist anymore.
That website, what website is it going to?
Sometimes you can click on them. Let's see here. Okay, just not doing it now. But let's say if I don't know what's happened, but I was able to click on the W032 error, and it would take me to the Lint website.
It would take you to something that tells you
What's
why
supposed to
it's...
take me to what that error is? Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Um, Describe function it, function moment tz set default, okay, and then const result date math UTC time. What is date math UTC? Is UTC time part of the moment library?
Sorry, what line are you on?
Line 7, UTC time.
UTC time. So
Yeah.
UTC time is pulling from this variable over here.
Oh, I see. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I'm not sure what's going on there.
So,
So let's look at that ready function. So the UTC to local JS, that's, you could look at, expand that a little bit so we can see that better.
this side here.
No, I'd like to see the right side. Yeah, that function there. So, okay, so this guy is going out and he's looking for anything with class UTC to local time. And everything that's marked with that class, it's looping through. And then it is setting. Okay. Yeah, I did that. Yeah. Anyway, so UTC time, so it's looping through the value in that function index value. The value is the actual time that is needed to be converted. And we're replacing, yeah, so the timestamps coming up from the database in Rails have a time space UTC. We're getting rid of the UTC. That's what that replace business is. And then that time is to be converted to a UTC time. So now the moment their library knows that this is a valid UTC time and knows what to do with. And then finally, line 4, it is converting that UTC time to the user's local time using this moment.tz guess. That, if I remember, I looked at that briefly, that actually looks at the user's browser and
Okay.
in a number of areas to try to figure out what is the local time for this user. And they call it guess because they can't guarantee they always get it right. So that's what they're doing there. Okay.
Yeah, because that's what all the tutorials says, is that they can't guarantee.
They can't guarantee most. I mean, it gets right. It gets right for me. It gets right for Sanja, who developed it. I think she and I are the only ones who've actually looked at this. So this is good that we're going to be testing this. Okay, so now we know that's going on. So let's go look at your Jasmine test again. What's it trying to do here? So it should return provide a UTC hour and date. So we're setting our default time zone. That's great. We would do that obviously many times for different time zones. Const result date math UTC time.
This is what I'm not.
Can you split the screen so we can see the right-hand side a little better again? Okay. So it seems that, let's see, expect result delay. This is kind of confusing because what we're trying to do is test that logic on the right-hand side, the whole logic. So what I would suggest is we create a fixture. We can steal a little bit of HTML from the screen that actually implements this UTC. I think we only have it in one place.
Okay.
But anyway, that fixture would have a time in it that's unconverted. It would look like the standard Rails time coming up, which is time space UTC. And then we would load that fixture for each test. For each time zone, we'd have a test that first off sets the local time zone for that test, then loads the fixture, and the fixture itself will be executed. The logic on the right-hand side will be executed against that fixture. And because the fixture has a fixed time in it, we know what the time is. And then what we do is when we load that fixture, JavaScript kicks in. We actually may have to force that. It goes through that fixture and sees a class that's marked with UTC to local time. It converts that to the local time. And then in our test, we confirm that when we load the fixture, the time shows up as converted to our local time zone. That's essentially what we need to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm not sure exactly what's going on left side. I'm not sure why a constant is defined as well. That one kind of throws me off.
So this is the tutorial.
Yeah. So if we maybe look at an example JavaScript that we currently have. Let's see, like find an example. Like if you could look at agency people spec.js. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. So here we have fixtures, and the fixture itself is just a snippet of HTML that the JavaScript is going to operate on. And we can look at that particular fixture. It's just standard HTML.
Okay.
And then we execute, which you're going to need to do as well, agency person assign.setup.
Okay.
You're going to need to execute that UTC window ready function every single time. So load the fixture, and then we also execute the setup.
Okay.
Because Jasmine is not smart enough to say, you loaded a fixture, let me run your page ready jQuery functions for you. It doesn't do that. You have to actually explicitly do it.
Okay.
So now you load a fixture. It's got a little snippet where it's got some time and its standard time format coming out of the Rails database. You run the UTC to local setup function and in before each. And then in your tests, you basically, let's see. No, you load the fixture, but you don't run the setup function yet. In your test, you set a time zone that you want to test for, set your local time zone. Then you run the setup, the window ready function, to execute the JavaScript against the fixture. It executes in the context of the time zone you set in your test. So it says this UTC time I'm going to convert to a local time. And then you do expect against the time value to be, and then you expect it to be local time, not UTC time. That's essentially what we have to do, right? That's the outline.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
I think I'm maybe talking too much about it, but
That's fine. That helps me understand.
yeah, so I think we need to create a little fixture. Go to the screen where we actually have this thing.
So take this out.
Yeah, if it's useful, but I just don't.
See what.
I think this test is testing the moment function, it's library itself, maybe? I don't know. We need to make sure that we're testing that we convert UTC to local on a page that has a class that says convert me when you load me. Yeah, that's what we need to do. So maybe in just an outline, yeah, describe, and then maybe we can just outline it here. Can you get rid of the combo thing?
I know. I don't know what it is.
Really annoying. I suppose that's meant to be useful, but I don't understand how they think anybody would find that useful.
What is it for? I don't know how it arrived there. It's
to totally distract you, and that's what it's for,
like
evidently.
I'm playing some kind of computer game.
Yeah, exactly.
No, let's not try. Let's not UTC.
Well, you don't have to do it all the words right, but let's just kind of outline it.
Yeah.
And then, so describe, and then space, our next line, indent. We don't even need to do the JavaScript right at this point, just
Okay.
it's kind of an outline mode. And then,
Sorry, not in Rails.
what's that?
Not in Rails. I was doing Rails end.
Oh, yeah, I'm just kind of thinking in pseudocode now, not even any specific. So indent or tab, and then before each.
Yeah.
Next line, indent. You don't even, don't even, let's just do pseudocode right now.
Indent, yeah.
Indent, load fixture. And the fixture is some file that's got some UTC timestamp in it. In fact, it's probably a one-liner. It just has a UTC timestamp. And that's it. That's it for the load feature. Okay. So backspace or unindent, and then describe. So now we're going to start a test. And let's call it New York time zone or something like that. And then next new line, space, indent, yep. And then set local time zone, set local time zone to New York time zone, whatever that means. You're still trying to do code. Don't do code. Just write the.
Just write.
Yeah, we're just doing pseudocode here. Set local time zone to New York time zone. Kind of like what you're doing in line 14 there. So looks like that might do it for you. And then new line. Run UTC to local JS.
Sorry, lost you there. Run into.
No, run run the UTC page ready function, which is basically the UTC to local .js function. Let's see now. Now here's one of the problems that you might have. So if you look at UTC to local JS, we can look at that again on the right-hand side. This doesn't have a name. Oh, wait a minute.
It's got that.
It looks like Arun's got some recommendation on maybe getting rid of that combo nonsense. You want to try to do that? So, what is it?
What is the
Control plus to open the settings.
Patrick, can you look? Screen slides. Please disable the active power mode package. Use Control plus. In Atom, are we talking Atom?
Yeah, in Atom. So
I hit Control. Okay, I'm on Ubuntu, so.
yeah, it's the same. You can just press Control and comma, and you would get the settings.
Oh, Control comma.
Window open.
Laura. Control comma.
Control comma, yeah.
It's not doing anything. Wait, control comma
Mm-hmm.
just as that.
Control comma at the same time. Yeah. Let's see if that
Oh.
works on that.
It should work.
She's using Atom, Arun. Is that what? Would that work?
Yeah, I'm using Atom and it works for me. Maybe I'm not sure if I set up key binding. I'm sorry.
Well, maybe
So if that doesn't work, you have to go to the packages menu and settings here. Yeah, it is a shortcut, so it's control and comma.
Control comma doesn't work. Which package is that? The
Activate
JNet?
power mode.
Oh, there it is. Activate power mode. There.
Yeah, you just disable it for now, you don't have to uninstall
Okay.
if you like it.
Is it bugging you?
So that's what's causing
Can you
that.
hover over the packages menu on the menu bar? Can you hover over the packages menu? Packages? Yeah. And settings view? Settings view?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a shortcut key you can find on the right. So it's control and comma. Okay, fine. So
Control and comma. Weird. Don't know why.
you can find it on the right of the open key. I was just saying, it is
Okay,
shortcut.
thank you.
That's fine, huh?
Let's continue. I'm sorry.
So here's what I was going to say, Laura. We want to invoke the ready function, which happens automatically, of course, in reality. And it doesn't have to have a name. Just when the page is ready, it runs that ready function. Here, we want to invoke it on demand. So I think you may have to actually give a name to that function so that you can invoke it on demand.
Okay.
Kind of like an
So
agency
give it
people.
a name. Give it a name on this side.
Yep, you may have to rename the ready function. So,
Okay.
yep,
Okay.
you could create that function, not make it a ready function itself, but just a standard function, and below it, create a setup function that basically just runs that function. And the setup function would be the page load function that loads automatically, if you're following what I'm saying.
Okay.
So that would give you a handle to whatever we call it, setup UTC or something. You can invoke that on demand to run against your fixture. So if we go back to the left-hand side now, so we've got a fixture that's got a standard UTC time, well-known time, and we load that each time. For each test, we'd have a describe, if you will, for each time zone. So for each time zone, we set our local time to that time zone. Then we run the UTC package, the ready function, which is on the right. We have a handle to call it. It will run that JavaScript against the fixture, and it will see the UTC time. It's got class UTC to local time, so it converts it to the local time. And then now we run some expectation against that.
Okay.
So now we need to be able to run an expectation against the time in the fixture. So we can basically, actually, to make this easier in your fixture, I would just give an ID to the time. You have to have the class UTC to local time for the function to work, but I'd also give it an ID. That gives you an easy handle for jQuery to get that element.
Okay.
And then you can say, expect that element that I get with the ID to equal, and then it should equal my local time, equivalent of the UTC time from the fixture. Does that make sense?
I hope so.
Yeah, I think with the path you're going, in terms of what we're trying to do, we are trying to test that function, the UTC to local. We're not testing the discrete moment function. We don't care about that. We care about discovering an element that's marked with that class and converting it appropriately. That's what we're testing.
Okay.
So, Patrick, I have a question. So are we going to test for every possible time zone? So are we going to have n number of tests?
Well, I think quite a few. I think that's the idea. So describe New York, describe Central, describe
South Africa.
East. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know how many time zones are there in the world. Probably a lot.
So no, I was just suggesting maybe we can create an object. So instead of repeating ourselves, instead of having a hell lot of describes and
Yep.
time zones, we can create an object and just run it over through a loop, right? So
Okay.
Yeah. So that makes sense. So we create a function, in effect, that gets past a local time zone, and it just executes the same logic over and over again.
I'm thinking
Okay.
about the structure of the object. So it has to be. So we need to have the expected time and the time zone. So
Okay.
this is all considering on the snippet we have, right?
Yep. Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, I think it should work. So when we convert everything beforehand. So
So
Great.
there's a function that we call from each of the describe tests that takes a local time zone and an expected time for that local time zone,
time, yeah.
and it just runs this logic, and it compares what it sees on the page versus what we tell it to expect to see on the page.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, that makes sense. The give an ID to the time thing, that just is kind of a note as to how this fixture has to be created, Laura, right?
Do we need the ID thing? I'm not really sure if we need it. So the script is going to change everything every day, which has a class UTC to local time, right?
Yeah. So the reason why I thought it'd be, the thing, yeah, we don't need an ID. You're right. It's too complicated. So if we had an ID, we could get a specific thing to test against. Since we just have class, we're going to get
but in this case, we don't need.
Yeah, we could select.
Go on.
We could do a jQuery select based just on class. It'll return a collection, but we know we're only going to get one element, so we immediately go to element zero, member zero of the collection, and so we don't need to loop around. So we don't have any complexity there. So an ID would give us certainty that we only get one element to worry about. In your code, you're going to have to do a jQuery select based upon UTC to local time class, kind of like line 2 on the right-hand side, starting with the $ question mark. Yeah. So that'll give you a collection, but you're only going to have one member in that collection, so you immediately use square brackets to reference member 0 of the collection, and that's what you can run your expectation against.
Okay.
That gives you the converted time that you can now run your expectation against. Does that make sense?
Right. Great.
Well, take a whack at thinking this through, but I think we've got a decent rough outline as to how to start.
Yeah, I think so. It's helped me a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll probably play with this a little bit on my side too, Laura.
Okay, perfect. That's great.
Yeah, and then maybe we can connect up again, maybe tomorrow morning or something. See how we're doing.
Tomorrow's great.
Yeah.
Great.
Hopefully this didn't confuse you, or does this make sense? Sometimes looking at the internet, you get all these ideas, but they're not quite
right.
Yeah, you start going on a path of doing something that's not exactly what we need to do in our particular case. Really, this is, I mean, I hate to say it because we'll be struggling with Jasmine and all that stuff, but this is a relatively straightforward test in terms of the overall logic that has to be done.
But it's writing the logic, so.
But it's writing yet another language to become refamiliarized with and all of that. So. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Patrick.
All right, good. I'm glad we connected. This is good. Good start. Anything else, anybody?
No, I don't have any questions.
Cool. All right. Okay, so I guess we'll all talk again very soon.
Yes.
Sure.
All right. Talk to you later. Have a good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever it may be.
Okay. Bye.
All right. Bye now.
Bye, guys.
Bye.